Welcome everybody to our wonderful event today. We've got a great speaker, but before we start, we got a couple housekeeping things. I want to start with our mission. I've got notes from our fearless leader, Peter, who sends his regards. He'll be back next month, but I'm standing in, so you're stuck with me. So our mission, by using compassionate approach to community building, we reduce the fear and isolation associated with a Parkinson's diagnosis. Our purpose, we exist to ensure that no one faces Parkinson's diagnosis alone. So just remember, you're not alone. And there is a theme to that phrase, which I'll touch on in a minute, that's additional. So good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the Parkinson Support Group of Sonoma County's monthly meeting. My name is Pam Keyser, and it's a pleasure to be your MC today. You'll notice my arm's a little twisted, but it's okay. We'll work on this together. So I have just a couple announcements that are off the script here. I was fortunate enough to be a witness and a participant in the 7th World Parkinson's Congress in Phoenix over the Memorial Day weekend. 5 days of very informational, very motivational, and very fulfilling activities. There were 64 different countries represented at the event, and there were just shy of 4,000 participants, consisting of physicians, physical therapists, OTs, speech psychologists, Parkinson's patients, and their care partners. And to say it was impactful would be an understatement. I won't go into all the details. If anybody's interested in knowing more afterwards, I'm happy to stick around and fill you in on what we learned and what we did and how it impacted me personally. This is Anastasia, Encarnacion.
Like the flower.
Hey,
Yeah.
yes. As she mentioned, she's a founder, designer, and program leader of Aquatic, a mindful, functional fitness program designed to help people maintain and strengthen their ability to move well in everyday life. Through her work, she helps clients improve mobility, build strength and flexibility, prevent falls, recover from physical and neurological injuries, recover from surgery, reduce chronic pain, and prepare their bodies for medical procedures. Clients receive individualized attention in every class, so each person gets the most out of the workout. Anastasia's taught movement for 40 years. She developed and taught the program for the physical therapy team at Caliente Springs Physical Therapy for 2 decades and has devoted 32 years to continuing education and research in exercise science. Her certifications span a remarkable range. She holds credentials from a whole alphabet of organizations, and I'm not going to go into all of them. A number of specialty certificates in exercise for those 60 and older, and populations with special needs. In short, Anastasia brings a deep expertise, a whole lot of heart, and a lifelong passion for helping people move well in every stage of life. Please join me in welcoming Anastasia to the stage.
Thank you for all coming today, and thank you for your curiosity about what water can add to your journey with Parkinson's in a very positive manner. Okay, so we already got sort of like who I am, so we can sort of dispense with that. Some of my alphabet's up there, but I have both land and water-based personal training that I give to people, so one-on-one, but then I also do group exercise that is focused specifically on helping people strengthen and keep their abilities to do their activities of daily living. So that is my passion. My passion is to keep you in your own home and independent for as long as possible. When we are looking at water, we have some very special things that water can do. And especially as we're getting into the later stages of Parkinson's, when we're looking at 3, we get that moderate, and 4 and 5, and later, we have warm water interventions, which become more and more helpful as Parkinson's progresses. There is a growing population of people with Parkinson's, and it's quite surprising, as you can see here. We are looking at the fact that most of the world is now getting at least some medical care, so people are living longer. And when they live into their 60s, 70s, and 80s, then we see the rate of Parkinson's really rise. But this is not explaining all of it. So we think that also the fact that people are getting medical care, and they are getting medical care that can diagnose this condition earlier, we're seeing also more explosive rise in the rate of Parkinson's throughout the world. There is preliminary research also that some of the pesticides or other kinds of chemicals in our environment, certain types, may be predisposing us towards changes in our body chemistry and even at a genetic level that may predispose us more towards Parkinson's. But that is very preliminary research, but it's very promising in helping us understand that maybe what we can eliminate around us to be able to keep ourselves healthier. So one of the things that I hope you know, and if you don't, I'm here to tell you, is exercise is super important. Okay, so we know now that exercise, especially really vigorous exercise, so if you're just starting on your journey with Parkinson's in stage 1, in stage 2, we find that explosive exercise, your boxing programs, your dance programs, your Zumba, but Zumba for Parkinson's. Okay, we have different modalities of land-based exercise that can mitigate the progression of Parkinson's. Now, it cannot cure it. I'm waiting for a cure, you're waiting for a cure, we're very hopeful, but it can slow it down. But you say, well, I'm in stage 3, I'm in stage 4, I can't, I've got some rigidity, my muscles are fighting each other, I'm having problems with my posture and balance. Moving super powerfully is not in my wheelhouse right now. It doesn't matter. Even if you do moderate paced exercise, like the kinds of things I teach and others in the community teach, especially and expressly for people with Parkinson's or in a mixed class, but people with different types of difficulties with movement. It still helps. It still helps with function. So that's why these programs are really important. If you're going into a more explosive program in water, there's very special properties to the water that make participating in it a little safer, but also that you can work very hard against water, which is more resistive. I mean, this is air. Water is like, I gotta really work to move through that thing. Okay, I gotta really work at it. So there are some very special things about water that you combine with your land-based workouts. Okay, so what we're looking at with exercise is what we've got on the screen here. We're supporting our mobility, okay? How does your joint move? Okay, can you do this? Okay, can you do this? Alrighty, so we're looking at mobility. We're looking at balance. When I do this, can I balance as I'm working through walking? Okay, which is our most important thing we want to keep, because that's a lot about our independence, isn't it? Yeah. So right into that, we're also working with strength to make sure that we can still lift ourselves, okay? That we can lift our things that we need to lift and move around the house. That we can go out and we can lift a pail of weeds, because we went out and we did some gardening, okay? Which contributes to the amount of exercise you're doing per day, by the way. Okay, that counts. And so all of these things through exercise, we're looking at your functional independence. Can you do these things to help yourself. If you exercise, you are more likely to be able to keep more of that for a longer time. So that's why exercise is so important, even if it's really hard to do, even if it makes you tired. It's important to do it so that you can do more for yourself and you can do more for those around you. And even if it is to just give someone a hug and give them some love, which is important. Okay, so when we're looking at exercise and we're looking at it and the effects on your brain, we know there's a certain part of the brain that's being affected by Parkinson's, and it has, a very chemical structure about it that is destroying your dopamine-producing cells. Okay, well, those dopamine-producing cells are very important to your being able to move right. Okay, so what neuroplasticity means is that you're doing exercise, maybe you're doing your boxing class, or you're doing, an aquatic exercise class, you're doing your aqua aerobics, or you're in a warm pool and you're in your arthritis foundation class and you're doing your exercises. There's going to be parts of your brain that are trying to take over for the parts that are getting damaged. So exercise encourages neuroplasticity, and that's what it means. There are structures in your brain that are taking over responsibility for the parts that are being damaged. And you get that when you move, when you exercise. Okay, so now I think you understand why exercise is so important for you, if you didn't already know that. Okay. So that, again, what we're talking about, even if it comes down to being able to give somebody a hug, okay, it's about your quality of life. Okay, so there are some very special properties of water that are a wonderful addition to your land-based exercise. Why I say that is you can do water exercise, but you need to combine it with land, because even though you might want to live in the water, you can't. We have to live on land. Okay, so is that plain? So when you are in the water, though, there's very special properties about that. And one of those properties is buoyancy. When I am in the water, right now, I weigh, 160 or so pounds. When I'm in the water, I weigh maybe 20. I still weigh 160 pounds, but the buoyancy is taking away a lot of the responsibility of my muscles and my joints to try and stay upright and stay moving. So what this does with buoyancy is it reduces joint loading. So put that down for a moment. Here's your knee. Maybe you have some arthritis as well as your Parkinson's. And so it's being harder to move that joint, okay? It's getting compressed with your body weight. As one of my physical therapists always would say, gravity is the enemy. Okay, so we're getting that compression of the joint. We get in water, and that goes away, okay? So the deeper you're immersed in water, the more you get this distraction, this movement away from each other in those joints, okay, of the bones. And this allows you to move that joint better and to accomplish more, because buoyancy is also like a big old hug all over everything that's immersed in that water. Okay, so think of a compression stocking. You know that helps circulate the blood out of your leg, right? Think of that all over your body, but it's more comfortable because it's water. Okay, so it is buoying you up, and it's also pressing on you. So it is supporting you. So if you do this, you don't fall. You go, and you come back up. That's what buoyancy can do for you. So you get into the water, and maybe I put you on the wall to begin with just so that you get used to it, because water also does shake all around you. It's like, woo, woo. Okay, so putting you on the wall just gives you a little reference to land, okay? And it allows you to just experience water, and guess what? In a couple of weeks, you're going like, I don't need that anymore. I can walk through the water. And so that buoyancy is taking away that fear of falling. It's taking away your fear of taking a risk. So if I ask you, I'm going to demonstrate. So you just had a speaker on LSVT big, okay? About 15 years ago, I was working with amplitude of movement, larger amplitude of movement with one of my folks with Parkinson's, because that person came in like this. And I was looking at someone who had a very great fall risk, and I wanted to help him prevent that. So in the water, with buoyancy, he could move larger. Exaggerating his movements that are necessary for walking. It looks really odd, okay, but the water makes it safe to do this. I am really waiting for the day when they combine LSVT big and they put it in the water, because I think it's going to be an amazing occurrence for an aquatic therapist to do that, because I think that's going to be super helpful to so many of you. So that larger amplitude of movement then, and with postural support, which came from buoyancy, that person started walking like this. I helped him break it down. What part of your body is supposed to move this way? Where do these pieces of your body go at these timings? And you can do that in the water, and you're feeling supported, and you're feeling nurtured, and your whole circulatory system is working better, which we're going to the next thing now, by something called hydrostatic pressure. So that's that all-over hug that you're getting from the water. It is pushing that blood out of your limbs towards the body cavity, where all of your body processes, they can clean out that blood and it can get rid of all that extra fluid, which is why when you get out of the pool, you want to go to the loo. Now you know why. Okay. So you are getting better venous return of the blood to the heart. This allows your heart to work more easily. And as we know, as we get later on in Parkinson's, we can start to have some cardiac issues, okay? And the other thing that it helps, because you're in chest deep water, that's where you're immersed, because that's the best trade-off between your buoyancy and gravity. Buoyancy to take you off your sore joints, to help you get good posture, to help you move, and gravity so that you actually have some control to your movement. You don't look like the thing outside of the car dealership. Okay, so you have to have a certain depth of water for you. Okay, some people shallower, some people deeper, so that you have some gravity, so you have muscular control as well. So that heart doesn't have to work so hard, but that water pressure that's on you as well helps with the circulation system of your heart itself. So if you also have a heart condition besides that that's been brought on by Parkinson's, you can talk to your physician about it, but a lot of heart conditions are also helped by being in water and doing water exercise. So your circulatory system is also helped. Okay, in cold water exercise, again, if we're working vigorously and we're going through like a boot camp kind of class, you tell your teacher who you are, what you have to deal with, just go a little early, and give them any conditions that you need to have met. You talk to your physician, you make sure it's okay for you to do that. When you are working in water, you not only have buoyancy and hydrostatic pressure, you have resistance. Now, I've mentioned that before. Water's a lot thicker than air. And every single time you move in the water, you have resistance. Now we're going into strength training. So if you're moving explosively and hard against the water, it is going to take you longer time to warm up in a cooler pool because it's only about 82 to 86 degrees. Okay, your cooler pool environments, some are cooler than that, so approach that with caution. But that explosive movement, you warm up to it. So you might be warming up and doing something a little slower than other people are doing for a little while until you feel that that exercise has gotten you to a point where you can move and then you can partake in those more explosive moments within that exercise program, and make sure you stretch afterwards. Now, one of the beautiful things about resistance, when we now go over into a warm water program, when we're looking at Parkinson's level 3, level 4, level 5, okay, we are looking at a progression from group aquatic exercise, such as an arthritis foundation class, or an aquafit class, such as I teach, or I Chi, which is like Tai Chi in the water. And it is actually, I Chi is recommended by the Parkinson's Foundation as an exercise paradigm that's excellent for people with Parkinson's. Okay, so that's I Chi. Just take the T off the Tai and you've got Tai Chi. You got I Chi. Okay, there you go. So warm water programs are adding to this buoyancy, to this hydrostatic pressure, to this resistance. If you're experiencing rigidity, okay, so what do we know about that? What is it? It means that I want to use this muscle, but that muscle won't let go and let me do it, darn it. Okay? So we're getting a little frozen in place. It makes movements harder to make. And movements can become very small. Okay? In warm water, so we're talking about 90 degrees to about 94 degrees, so we're talking about a therapy pool. Okay? That helps us with relaxation of the muscles. It also works on your nervous system, specifically your parasympathetic nervous system. So all of this anxiety and the depression and these other things that can go along with Parkinson's, it is switching you over to your neurological processes that have to do with your rest and digestion. In warm water, we can move a little slower. That allows your brain to go, okay, my teacher wants me to do this. And I'm supported through that, and that warm water, wow, that's a little farther than I've gotten in the past couple of weeks to reach out and get back. Let me try that again. All right. And again, there's that buoyancy, helping support you through those movements. And the studies have shown, there's a lot more studies on land-based interventions for Parkinson's than there are for water-based interventions. Part of that is our medical system and the insurance policies. They don't particularly like to reimburse for water workouts. Okay, but we're getting past that because some very important people in the industry are really fighting for it because this is such an important modality. But that warm water workout, that is allowing you to have more expansive movement. It's pressing on you, so it's telling you, ooh, I need to work my diaphragm harder. I need to work the muscles in between my ribs harder because those are my helpers for my diaphragm, my main breathing muscle. And when I inhale down deep, because my teacher told me I have imaginary noses down there, oh, that's what a deep breath is. And so now we're really working on that rest and digest system. That anxiety, all that cortisol, that's starting to be mitigated. So a lot of those negative chemicals that are in our body when we're in warm water and exercising, that's being replaced by the good chemicals, meaning you're producing more dopamine, you're producing more serotonin. So this is all helping you to produce more of what you need to make movement, which results in not only being able to do this in the warm water, but having that last when you go out on land and you need to go out there and have a life on land, because that's where we need to live. Anyway, I just need to see where I am in my program. Okay, so there is so much that water can do for you. So we've already talked about, we have more, there's Aquafit up here. I found out that the term I used for my program that was a proprietary program for the physical therapist has sort of been used by a lot of people out there, I guess, liked it. And so you'll see this all over the place, Aquafit. If it's my program, there's no space between the little a and the big F. So then you know it's me. Okay, so basically you'll receive different types of Aquafit programs wherever you go. It's not my program. I haven't certified people in it. If you go to Sonoma Splash in Sonoma and you come to my warm pool, you'll be doing my program for Aquafit. So just to let you know that they're different. So Aquafit for most places is it's called Aquasize, I think, in your Santa Rosa YMCA. Okay, so it's both indoor and outdoor. Alrighty? So that is a more vigorous program than my squished together Aquafit, which is more about let's get your walking right. Let's get your posture right. What does that mean? How does that work? And what does it look like? Okay, so you know what to look like when you look in a mirror. You go like, okay, that's supposed to move first, and then that goes with it. Okay, I can do that. Because you've been in water, you've learned how to do it, you didn't have a risk of falling, you had that buoyancy, you had that big old hug, and it's warm. And gee, that feels nice. Okay, and that gee, that feels nice is what we're after, because that's what's releasing the anxiety, releasing the depression. Okay, now, when we're looking at amplitude of movement, we're looking at that LSVT big program. That's all done by physical therapists because they are designing that for you specifically as one person. When I'm using amplitude of movement, it's because I realized it was really helping with my folks with Parkinson's. Okay, so I'm asking them to take a larger than normal movement. I also ask that of other people who have very small movements because they have a fear of falling. And it translates to land. Just recently, one of my clients, who again came to me like this because he's now functionally blind. So he's like this. And he now walks like this. Because he's gained confidence in the water. So it gives you confidence that yes, I can move like that. I just proved it to myself. I can do that. And that confidence means a lot. Okay? So when you get back on land, your whole nervous system is going like, okay, it's supposed to feel like this. All right, on land, I feel like I can do that now. And that's a big difference. I feel that I have good posture now. So when I use a backstride and I push off the ball of my foot and my large toe, I'm not dashing myself into the ground anymore because I know what posture is, and I can take a look in the mirror and I can see that I'm there. Or I can look in the mirror and go, oh yeah, okay. That's where the teacher told me to go. And now I have a backstride, which means I keep my glutes. Okay, that's your button muscles. So every time you use your backstride right, it's building your button muscles, it's building your calf muscles, it's pumping that blood up out of your leg every time you extend that ankle and push off all of your large toe. You know, so these are the kinds of things I teach in my Aquafit class, which is in warm water and a much slower paced program. Remember, so squished Aquafit is mine, Aquafit apart is not mine. Okay, so anyway, so when you're going to some place and you're expecting a certain workout, just so you know what you're looking for, okay? So Aquafit is also called, like I said, Aquasize up in your Santa Rosa YMCA. They have a warm pool in your Y up here. It is 93 degrees, and it's so nice and warm and comforting. So take a look at those programs. They have a class called Water Wellness that's on hiatus at the moment because their instructor had some sort of a medical issue, but that will be back by the end of July, they tell me. So Water Wellness is another program up at your Y. Okay, so these programs, unfortunately, are not a lot of them. Your Y in Santa Rosa, Sonoma Splash, and the Osher Marin JCC are the places that have exercise programs in warm water, because warm water pools are extremely expensive. But they're extremely useful for our community of people that need them, and also for little itty bitties who need to learn how to swim without their lips turning blue. Okay. Okay, when we're looking at land-based exercise and water-based exercise, don't take the verses as it's, oh, we're going to duke it out, one's better than, no. It's just that one gives you these things and the other one gives you these things. And as I said before, an integrated program is what's really important to you. Okay, that you are exercising on land, you're continuing to exercise on land, but the special properties of water are making it even better for you on land. Okay, and they have special properties of their own, so if you're having a super hard day and land-based exercise is just not your thing today, there's that water class. You know, you've got that water class, and that's going to be something that helps you on that day. Okay, so it's just because it's that super supportive environment and warm. Okay, so again, we've gone over, we have that reduced fall risk, we have reduced joint stress, that's that space is the final frontier, for all you Star Trek fans. Okay, so we have that space happening, supports so we can get into good posture, we can move more easily because the water's warm, we can move more strongly and more powerfully because we're building up muscle tissue because there's resistance in the water. So the other thing that we're looking at is that because of these things, sometimes we can work longer and more comfortably when we're in the water. Maybe that we don't have to stop after a half an hour. Maybe we make it the whole hour. I'm like, yeah, okay. Now, one of the things you have on land is your blood pressure is normalized throughout your entire working out. Because of the orthostatic hypotensive nature, in other words, low blood pressure or blood pressure that doesn't allow that blood to get to your brain, when you go to get out of water, you are going to take a longer time to do so. Go up to the railing and stop. By then, you're probably here in the water. That's allowing your heart, your whole autonomic nervous system, okay, that governs your heart. That's allowing your heart and your blood pressure to normalize. Take a couple of steps up a little further. Keep yourself against the railing. Okay, that's supportive. I guess I'm getting too close to that. And let yourself normalize a little more and then climb the rest of the way out of the pool. And I always had people stop at the top and just spend a moment, get their breathing, get their posture, and then go on the walker or go with the cane or start to walk towards the locker room. So it is important that you allow your blood pressure to normalize when you're getting out of a pool, whether you're working in cool water or you're working in warm water. Okay. Okay, so we already said that it improves circulation. Well, guess what? And it's making us work harder to breathe, and we're learning and working against the water. We can feel what a deep breath is. So we're getting more oxygenation, and guess what? Your brain likes that, and so do your muscles, and it helps your body processes work better. So better oxygen delivery means a lot to you. Okay. Now, when we're looking at Parkinson's, and I have a whole bunch of sciencey stuff that I can share with you afterwards when we do our breakout, okay? But basically, we have little tiny pieces of little things called mitochondria, and they make the energy for our muscles to work on. And unfortunately, some of the toxic products of Parkinson's and the dopamine misfunctions and misfolded proteins and all that kind of sciencey stuff that goes with this is destroying our mitochondria. When you exercise on land, in the water, you are making more, and you're making more than if you're sitting there knitting. Okay? You're making more than if you're simply just walking through your house. You take an exercise program, you're making more mitochondria. That gives you more energy, and that can help mitigate some of that fatigue you get from Parkinson's. So now here we go. We have this lovely warm water environment. We have buoyancy, hydrostatic pressure. We have resistance. We're building strength. And now you're telling me that it can make me have more energy? Hey, yeah, sign me up. Okay, so we have less fatigue because we're getting exercise conditioning. You're also getting that from your land-based programs, okay? But in the water, there's just some special properties to it that really, really help mitigate some of the other kinds of things that you might be dealing with, especially fatigue and depression, anxiety. Yes, so again, we're having longer, more comfortable work, and that allows us to move larger, allows us to move more powerfully in the water, allows us to move with more agility, because yes, I do speed, agility, and quickness patterns in the water, and that's where we learn that if we get here, that we can correct that. Okay, so agility programs are important, but in the water, they are safe. Okay, so I can take you, I can have you cross your legs all up, and I'm going to have you recover out of that doing a one-legged movement, which is now dynamic balance. So static balance is, dynamic balance is every time I step on one leg and I take a step, I'm engaging in dynamic balance. That means I'm balancing as I move. Okay? So that water is very supportive for that, especially your warm water. Okay, I work with a particular kind of testing paradigm for people that have Parkinson's or other kinds of movement disorders, or tell me that they're having a real problem with movement and balance. And that's called the Berg Balance Scale. Some of you may have actually had your therapist take you through those exercises to see where you are on that scale, and they're looking for improvement. Okay, so what we saw in water-based exercise for all of the things I've already mentioned to you is a larger improvement in the water on the Berg Balance Scale. That means that your ability to go down and grab something off the floor, okay, that came on a bit faster and it came on a bit more powerfully when you're exercising in the water. So this is something that's significant within the limited research that we do have for water that helps you with your Parkinson's. So RCTs are random controlled trials. Okay, so we have a control group, and they're sitting there eating Cheetos on the couch, and then we have the group over here doing their exercise. Okay, so that's what a random controlled trial is. And when we're working in the water, we're looking at some very significant benefits to all the things I've told you about water already in those random controlled trials. When we're talking about aquatic therapy, when you're going into stage 4 and 5, we're starting to transition into one-on-one water therapy as opposed to group exercise because it is safer. Okay, and they can do a lot with you to help with the rigidity, to help with actually feeling a movement by helping move your body so that you can, again, connect to that movement so that you have a better experience on land. So aquatic therapy is difficult to find, but the JCC, the Marin Ocean JCC, has 2 aquatic therapists on staff. So that is a lovely place for you to go if you need one-on-one attention. Okay, so that's especially as we're getting to levels 4 and 5. Okay, So there is that out there. It's a little harder to find, and I'm only telling you about programs that are available to the general public. There may be a physical therapy group that does aquatic therapy in their warm water pool at their physical therapy group, but you have to be referred by a physician. Or there may be a hospital that has a warm pool, but it's only for their use and for their physical therapy group. So the ones I'm talking to you about, your YMCA here in Santa Rosa, the Marin Osher JCC in Marin County, and Sonoma Splash, we're looking at the only public accessible warm water pools. Some people are calling their pools warm water pools, and they're only 83 to 86 degrees. Okay, and that may be a bit too cooling for people in stage 3 and 4 in the water. So we're looking for a therapy pool, which is 90 degrees and above. So now you know what to look for. If you're looking for a therapy pool and for the kind of programs that I provide, it's 90 plus degrees. Okay? So just know that's sort of your cutoff. Or, well, what's the temperature of your therapy pool? Oh, it's 86 degrees. Oh, okay, thank you very much. Okay, thanks for letting me know. And you know that that's not the place that you wanted to go. You want to go over here because that temperature does mean a lot to reducing rigidity. Okay, and letting your muscles not fight each other but work instead. The one thing that we do not find, and I did experience this with my people with Parkinson's as well, is that if you have a tremor working in the water, unless we're doing like some explosive little ball passing or something like that, that doesn't mitigate that tremor. In fact, the trying really hard sometimes brings it on, but the thing is, it's okay. Let it happen. Just let it go and keep on moving through the range of motion. Even if it makes you tremor, keep working through the range of motion. The water is there for you. It's going to be okay. All right? Everybody's in some sort of boat that's in my class, and nobody cares if your hand shakes. Alrighty? So water is a wonderful medium for bringing people together that need that warm water, and we're all in that same boat of needing it for some reason. Okay, so that's the one thing that water has not been shown to affect is motor systems. Okay, so let's get through these. So we're looking at your stages. Okay, so just in this, we've already gone through it. If you're in stage 1 and 2, we're looking at your more vigorous programs. We're looking at your ability to use your trunk properly in functional movement training. We're going to warm water. Here for stage 3, when I've mentioned these, and also stage 4, we're moving on to one-to-one aquatic therapy. So to wrap it up, we know that your Parkinson's is your Parkinson's. It's different than anybody else's. It's your journey. Exercise is the most effective thing that we can do under our own power to change our Parkinson journey. Aquatic exercise offers some very distinct benefits, and it can be tailored from stages 1 through 5. So thank you very much for coming and listening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Anastasia. It's very informative. We have time for a few questions before we take a break and go into our breakout groups. I have to say, for me, one thing that stands out, and even though I have a background in physical education, was the getting out of the pool and taking your time. And I didn't really think about it until she mentioned it, but that is something, if you go climbing up that stairs, all of a sudden you feel lightheaded. Now I understand why. So for me, that was an interesting new thing I learned. Is there anyone else out here? Tell me one thing you guys learned that's new. And we have a microphone.
I have something that I learned about the orthostatic hypertension and getting out of the pool. I would assume that it's the same and even more important if you're using a hot tub.
Yes, it is. Because when you're in warm water, you're in hot water, what's happening is So when you're in warm water or you're in very hot water, okay, because hot tubs can be 102 degrees, sometimes more. First of all, make sure your physician says you can be in one. That's really important. So what it does is it dilates your blood vessels. Okay, it gets all that blood going to your, your tiny vessels out towards your skin. It gets all your blood pumping a little harder. And then guess what? Now you're going to go out of that pool and you don't have that warm hug of the water around you anymore, and your blood vessels are still dilated. Guess where that blood goes? And this goes, woo. Okay, so when you're getting out of a hot tub, if you're allowed to go into one, definitely, even more so than a warm pool, take your time getting out of the pool. That was an excellent question. Thank you.
I guess I was going to ask, hot tub.
Yes.
Do you use hot tubs? Do you recommend that for these?
Okay, thank you very much, Stacy. So that is out of my scope of practice. That's for the people that have taken 12 years of medical school or more and lots of residency. So in other words, you need to ask your physician about that. You need to ask your neurologist, because each one of you has a different presentation of Parkinson's, and the answer is going to be different for every single one of you. Okay?
If you could do one exercise, if you had the opportunity to be in a warm pool like at hot springs, if you do one exercise, what would you recommend?
Working on gait training.
Which means what?
Working on gait training. Okay? Because we're trying to keep ourselves independent. What's the most important thing you need to do to be able to be independent beyond eating? Walking. So being able to get up into a straight up and down posture, to do some head retractions while getting tall. So here's your spine, top of the back of your head. You're bringing this back and you're lifting. So I can use my ponytail because that's right where my spine is. And you're lifting that spine and you're getting tall. Okay? So you bring it back, getting tall, and that's helping you normalize traction, spinal lengthen, your posture. This is going to scream at you. I'm falling over backwards. Ignore it. It lies. Just keep your chin level, okay? Because neuroplasticity is happening and it's going like, no, just calm down. We are not falling. I mean, because look at me. I'm not falling. And it's going, yes, we are. No, I'm not. Okay, so there's a little duke it out between parts of your brain when you first go in the water. Okay, just expect that. But posture. Working on posture. The next one is getting the legs to move. And that actually starts at your waist. Okay? Your waist muscles help move your pelvis. So there's not really something I stand on, but your pelvis is going to rotate slightly. That invites the rest of your leg forward. It is not your knee. It is not your foot. It is your hip moves first in a normalized stride. So starting to break your body up between a lower half and an upper half is important. So that would be a really great thing to do too, is to be able to start to make that motion and work those oppositional muscle and connective tissue drive trains, I call them, that are in your body. Okay, there's different things that cross body pattern you. As you walk, they help protect your lower spine and that motor you through life. Okay, so this first one of getting the hips to rotate, and then the next one is then with that good posture to get a good push off your back foot. That means extending out your ankle. So preliminarily, before those, you might sit in the water and just do some ankle circles or some up downs where you're bringing that foot up towards the shin and then pushing it away. Okay? That's important because there's specialized nerves in your ankle that tell your brain where you are. And that again is using neuroplasticity because that dopamine is being interfered with, okay, in telling our body, all my nerves down here are working fine. It's up in here that I'm having the problem, okay? This is where the interpretation is not right, but this is giving me some chance for that to happen when I'm in water. And so here I can start to do that. Then I know that these go opposite to the hips, so here's sorry. So here's my hips, here's my ribs. They work in opposition. So your arm swing doesn't come from here. The majority of the muscles that move your arms are on your torso. Okay? You're more like a bird than you thought. So as I'm moving, my hip comes forward, my ribs go opposite. So getting that down starts to power me through. It powers me into my backstride. It counterbalances all of that weight of my body going to one side, counterbalances it with my upper body. That's how we work. And then these parts of your brain that are taking over for the part of the brain that's getting disrupted is learning that, and you're doing it safely and in wonderful water. That's a beautiful facility. Yeah. So did you have any more questions? Okay. Anybody else? You have another question?
I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up from questions.
We have a question.
Are there benefits to just regular old swimming if you're...
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I have that for just a second? Like a smack? No. Okay. So anyway, plain old swimming are the benefits. Absolutely. Swimming actually has been proven to be a treatment for anxiety because it's repetitive nature. Okay? So, and there's all kinds of swimming. You can do breaststroke. If you don't feel comfortable doing crawl, or maybe you can't, okay? There is that. We have adult swim lessons where we are having in the warm pool. You know, so there is definitely, if you're swimming, you're doing a repetitive pattern, you're doing an oppositional pattern between your feet and, your legs and your arms. So that also feeds you out here. It's really good core exercise, okay? And it's really great lung exercise. So definitely swimming has its benefits as well.
Where do you conduct your classes?
I conduct my classes at Sonoma Splash, which is a brand new facility of a competition pool and a warm teaching therapy pool behind the Sonoma Valley High School campus. So it's pretty accessible. It's not too far away.
I think we're going to go ahead and move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It means so much to me to be able to bring you this information. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I want the best for you.
You just take my words right out of my mouth. We're going to say we can feel your passion, and we appreciate your sharing all your knowledge with us. I want to thank everybody else for being here, and your curiosity, your openness, the way you show up for one in your community, and that you're there for each other. That's what makes this organization special, is we're here to be here for each other and support each other. No other agenda than to give you information and support. So we appreciate that.